slight drawback in this setup, because you saw that the engine doesn't stop playing once you have stopped your ship. So in order to make sure we can pause this, we'll be using a small technique, which is calling the engine effects play methods return values pause method. So what effectively happens here is the play method returns generates a sound effect instance object through which we can control the engine effects duration and when it has to be stopped and such. So let's see our improvement now. And no, it doesn't seem to have done the trick, and let's figure out why. As you can see, we have called the play method in two places, which is in the if condition where you press the W key and once you release the W key. As you can see, and as I have explained before, the play method returns a sound effect instance. So since this method is being called twice in two different places, it's two different sound effects that we are accessing. So we need to make sure that we are accessing the same sound effect before we play it or pause it. So we need a few more changes in our program. So let's make sure we add a sound effect instance to our game. So let's do this first by adding those objects along with our sound effects. How we do this is by declaring a sound effect instance object for engine effect. We name it the engine effect instance, and another sound effect instance for the hyper effect instance. There you go. So we have to load this again. We have to load these methods again. We achieve this by going back to the load content method and setting up the play methods accordingly. So let's call the engine effect instance. Let's initialize this by calling the engine effects play method, and as you can see, the play method what really does is it creates an instance and at the same time it plays it. So we need to make sure that the sound doesn't play at the wrong time. So we need to make sure that we pause or stop that in that particular sound effect instance before it plays at the wrong time. So let's do this again for the hyper effect as well. Hyper effect dot play and hyper effect instance dot pause. So we have two engine effect instances and hyper effect instances, and we'll be using these to control the sound in our game. So let's get back to the update input method again, and let's do those changes again. So it's the sound effect instance that we are using now. So let's use the engine sound effect and use its play method to play, and once we release the key we need to make sure we pause it. So let's see our improvement now. There you go. As you can see, we have achieved a certain level of stability in our application right now, in our sounds. So as you can see, by pressing W key when you move, the engine sound is there, and when you stop, it doesn't come there. I hope it was really clear to you. So we have successfully added some sounds into our game, but that doesn't end there. There's more to explore. So at this point you've been given many of the basic elements you need to build a game. So there are graphics, input and sound. So even still you might be wondering, how do I build a game with all these details still? So let's put it this way, games are a really expressive process where there's plenty of room for you to solve problems in a creative manner. So there's no right way to make a game now that we have given you the basic details with the examples you have created. We have created together. There's always a possibility to build on this and to improve on the missing elements. For instance, we are using only a single spaceship here in our game, but there's also room to have more spaceships. Maybe there are asteroids that we'll have to avoid in our routes when we move here and there. So what else does this ship interact with? Are there any enemies apart from the rocks that we were talking about? Are there things such as power-ups? So those things have to be coming from our intuition. So these things will define your game, and it will give a certain speciality to your game. So our suggestion for you is to play games in order to inspire yourself to make games. And since we have taught you on how to use the XNA framework and most of its features, including its audio features, and although we haven't elaborated on exact, we have mentioned you as to what it is. So our advice to you is to make sure that you build on these talents by using many of the community-driven websites such as the XNA Creator Studio available to you. And good luck with your game programming. Thank you.